Today was like one of those fly dreams, rolling into Big 3 Saturday night in the Hive with ISO Joe Johnson and his 4-1 triplets, taking on Will McDonald's hungry ball hogs. Greg Oden's upstart aliens look to hammer their way to another victory against Josh Smith and Bivouac. But it all begins with a battle of trifectas as 3's company's Andre Emmett goes toe-to-toe with Steven Jackson and the Killer 3's. From the home of the Utah Jazz, we begin our Big 3 of the night with 3's company and the Killer 3's here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Game 2, Ball Hogs looking for win number 1 against ISO Joe Johnson's triplets. And then we wrap it up with Aliens versus Bivouac. The end of the summer is in sight, which means we are headed towards the playoffs. The Big 3 in the Big 3. Power, triplets, and Killer 3's all at 4-1, which means this one is a big one for 3's company. With Brandon Tierney, Avery Johnson, I'm Carter Blackburn. And if you know Avery Johnson, there's going to be energy and enthusiasm. I am guessing you are excited about tonight's matchup.
I'm fired up, Carter. This is going to be a great night tonight. All of the different storylines in all 3 games, and especially because it's so tight at the top in the standings. And with the triplets and Killer 3's playing tonight, our fans are in store for a huge night tonight.
And that is where we begin with the rosters presented by State Farm. Drew Gooden has led the way for 3's company as a co-captain. Steven Jackson, one of the stars of the Big 3 since its inception. But Coach Charles Oakley is starting to get some contributions from another couple of dangerous weapons for the Killer 3's.
And it starts with Eddy Curry. After only scoring 2 points in week 1 and missing a couple of games, he had 10 points in the last game, and his physicality inside, now they have a guy that they can go to in the post. And then Frank Nitti, one of my favorite players in the Big 3, plays with lots of energy. He's had 2 game winners this year, and he went on a personal 10-0 run to lead them to victory last week.
And for 3's company, Oak Cliff's own Andre Emmett starting to really come on.
He had a reigning player of the week. He just plays with a level of toughness and tenacity that's hard to match. And he's just been a major spark the last 3 weeks, averaging 18 points a game.
And so for 3's company, Los Angeles' own Michael Cooper, one of the great defensive players in NBA history. His team has won 2 in a row since an 0-3 start. And from Cleveland, Ohio to Virginia Union, and then 19 seasons in the NBA, Charles Oakley, 4-1, coaching the Killer 3's. So we are ready to roll in Salt Lake City. 3 to come late night from the capital of the Beehive State. We get it started with Killer 3's versus 3's company. Playing to 50, have to win by 2. It's half court. There is no game clock. And we'll just keep on rolling. So, Avery, what are you looking for early on with Killer 3's versus 3's company?
Well, I'm looking for, Steven Jackson to try to establish himself offensively. Obviously, Frank Nitti is a major key to their team, but looking for Steven Jackson to try to get off to a fast start.
Emmett tries the 3. Axel goes up and hangs a foul on Steven Jackson. So if you're new to Big 3, you just need the refresher. Yeah, we're playing to 50, have to win by 2, and then the big one about no game clock. So you have that 14-second shot clock. And a 4-point shot plays in. We were talking with Q about how much fun some of these wrinkles are, that you are never out of the game without a clock. You're not playing against it. You're just playing to 50, 4-point shot. And if you get fouled on a 3, 1 shot, 3 points, you can come back in a hurry.
And I love the 4-point shot because you're never out of the game. And that's why I think you got to always stay tuned to the Big 3, because you never know. You can't leave it and take a restroom break.
Dijon Thompson on Steven Jackson for the first bucket of the game. Dijon Thompson, first season in the Big 3.
It's going to be interesting to watch because, you know, 3's company has a size advantage, especially at the guard position.
But Nitty can take a big man off the bounce as well, and he takes it right at Jason Maxill.
Nice job of attacking a switch. You got a big center switching on you. So you have to make a decision at that point. Do we want to post up a smaller guy, or do we want to allow Frank Nitty to attack the big guy off the bounce? And that was a great decision, especially if you make it free throw.
Right. In Franklin's session, that'll be the last time we say Franklin session, because it is Nitty. It's Frank Nitty, the California street ball legend. Andre Emmett off the bounce, strong to the rim. 4-0 start for 3's company. Again, an 0-3 start. They've won back-to-back weeks. Get themselves back in playoff contention. Eddy, yep, foul call on Thompson.
Talked to Frank before the game, and he's a mid-range guy. He said, I love the mid-range. I know it's obsolete, and you know, with all of the new analytics, especially in the NBA and all college, but he loves the mid-range.
Can you relate to that?
I can relate to that. I was a mid-range specialist.
Nitty got the mid-range there, but couldn't knock it down. So Emmett on Steven Jackson keeps the handle alive, and there's Emmett mid-range. Didn't touch it, so go right back up. Nitty poked away. That's another one of the wrinkles. If it doesn't hit the rim, you go right back up with it.
Now, strategically, since both teams, since Killer 3's especially, they're struggling to score, they got to get to the offensive glass, try to get some offensive rebounds and some cheap baskets.
Emmett and Nitty banging in the post. Emmett gets a stop. Nitty comes back with the block. Franklin Session gets the block and sets it up for the Killer 3's. Dumping on Powell, baseline. But what a block from Nitty.
There's a, you know, my number 6 is retired in San Antonio, and I don't know if I had any block shots in my 16-year career. So this number 6, Frank Nitty, definitely has more athletic ability than both of us.
Wow, got up. Well, I know where most of the athletic ability is, this broadcast crew, in the hands of Avery Johnson. Nitty throws it away from Powell. All right, here it is. This may be the most surprising block we're going to see tonight.
Normally a block you think is going to come from a big guy, but Frank didn't give up on the play. He stuck with it. He continued even though he got beat.
Gritty Nitty. Andre Emmett, hot start for 3's company. 8-0 timeout for the Killer 3's. Andre Emmett has brought the hot hand to Salt Lake City. Emmett has 4 of the early 8 for 3's company. So Nitty's block, a highlight for Killer 3's, and that's just about it, because Andre Emmett and 3's company has brought it from the get-go.
Yeah, and Andre Emmett, we talked about him in the pregame, that, you know, he's a hot player right now. So this is basically a layup. We call those layups. Not your traditional layups at the basket, but when you get wide open, you know, at 14, 15 feet, he can make that shot all night long.
Andre Emmett, so Big 3 Player of the Week after that 23 versus Bivouac, and he's starting to blow up. I mean, this is a guy who is playing his 2nd season in the Big 3, and the numbers just keep getting better for Andre Emmett, the former Texas Tech Red Raider from Dallas, Oak Cliff. So we'll see the Killer 3's out of that timeout. The same 3 are on the floor. Powell, Jackson, and Nitty for Charles Oakley's Killer 3's at 4-1. Need the ball pulled away for the Ball Hogs last week, thanks to Nitty's 10-0 run.
And it's interesting, you thought maybe Oakley was going to go to the bench and sub since they've gotten off to such a slow start.
And then Michael Cooper wanted to get Donte Jones into the game. Nitty on to Steven Jackson on the wing. Jackson buries it. Will plays timeout. You get Steven Jackson a good look.
Yes, and it's on-time, on-target pass. Frank Nitty did a terrific job of breaking down the defense and then reading the defense. It's all about getting in your progressions when you're driving to the basket.
And now Stack again. Air ball. No, that's a pass. bounce. That's a pass all the way. Assist to Steven Jackson, right?
When you're struggling to score, we said it just a few minutes ago, get on the offensive glass, and that's what Powell did. Sometimes your best shot is a missed shot.
Dijon Thompson can't answer. Eddy with the board. Steven Jackson past Emmett, hard to the rim. Jackson follows his miss. Max Seal bothered it, and now back out Eddy off the bounce. Right at Emmett, to the rim. Into the hands of Steven Jackson. Nobody can finish for the killer threes.
On that last possession, Frank Eddy was wide open and basically drove the ball into the defense. He's going to have to knock down that shot and try to soften the defense up, because right now, 3's company is playing him for the drive. And when you're a one-dimensional player, it's hard to score.
It's all finished for Emmett in the mid-range. We have a technical foul on Steven Jackson, so Emmett, one shot for two, couldn't hit it. 3's company ball, but technical foul called on Steven Jackson, and he is going to take a break right now for killer threes.
Yeah, he needs to just settle down, settle in the game. He thought he got fouled a couple of times inside, and referees make mistakes.
Dare I say Steven's not a shy guy? Is that right, Avery? On the floor, off the floor, Steven's not a... He's not a wilting violet?
No, he's never been shy, even with the little gray beard now.
Still not shy. Donte Jones, game winners each of the last 2 weeks, crossing over from the elbow. Big board, Donte Green. c.j.watson in for killer threes as well.
c.j.watson is a guy that can get hot from behind the three-point line.
That did not go for Powell.
Right, and he even has a 4-point range.
Got the 4-point shot, any part of the circle. Nifty from Donte Jones, drawing a foul there with the shot clock winding down. So bailout foul committed by Josh Powell. Of the 10 points for 3's company, 6 from Andre Emmett.
When I was coaching and I didn't like that call, I used to ask the ref, what do you want me to teach him in practice? He maintained his position. The offensive player basically initiated the contact.
Right. And the answer is just tough luck, right? Just you're just not going to get it. Emmett pokes out with 8. Late in the shot clock, Powell has to heave it. Cleared back out to Andre Emmett.
It's a favorable matchup for Emmett.
Emmett banging on c.j.watson. Couldn't finish. Powell, easy 2.
With Steven Jackson out of the game, Powell's going to need to step up. He's going to need to continue to have an impact on the game offensively.
Donte Green bothers a shot by Slim, and now Donte Green steps into a 3. That's a look that Donte Green usually knocks down. Emmett on Donte Green. Emmett, floater off the window.
I contribute that bucket to Michael Cooper because he was screaming, pass the ball.
It's just good coaching, right? It's just good coaching.
It's the same thing I used to tell Tim Duncan, but don't pass it to me, pass it to somebody else.
Behind 8 early points from Andre Emmett, 12-7 3's company on killer threes. Check out all about the Big 3 for interviews, recaps, player profiles, and more. New episodes premiere every Thursday on CBS Sports Network. And it was a very active week. Roster changes around the Big 3. Triplets trade Chris Johnson to the Ghost Ballers for Jamario Moon. Solomon Jones signed, Carlos Boozer waived, and then Carlos Boozer signed with Power, waiving Michael Thompson. So a very active week. BT with Donte Jones.
Yeah, Carter, been a little roster volatility. Let's start with the game. You guys are up by 5. You jumped down to an 8-0 lead. Little inside, a little outside. What are you seeing so far, Donte?
We're just trying to defend and keep good ball movement. If we do that, we have a good chance to win the game.
All right, let's talk about your journey. Pretty unique, man. You got let go, you come back, not 1, 2 game winners. Pretty interesting road for you so far.
I'm just here to work as a team and try to get some wins, and that's all that matters right now.
What he's all about. Team win, team man right here. All right, Carter, back to you.
So he's signed to replace Baron Davis after Baron Davis inactive for the rest of the season. And how about Donte Jones? I mean, he tells BT it's about defense, and you can see in the stance, switching, calling out switches. He's trying to do it defensively.
We used to have drills in training camp and during the season called the shell drill, where 4 guys get in a stance and you basically are pointing at your man and pointing at the ball. He's a great example of shell drill defense.
Now, that was not one of the more fun drills, was it?
No, it was never fun. Especially if you couldn't get a stop. Your team had to run sprints.
Ooh, Steven Jackson teeing it up. Back on the floor after the tee. He's fouled on the floor, but Steven Jackson started that with the steal. Little burn coming off the bench from Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I think Coach Oakley got his attention when he gave him a little bit of a rest.
Steven had a very nice greeting for you, Avery, when walking the building.
That's what I love about the Big Three. I feel the love from all the old NBA vets.
Steven's got a title with the Spurs. You've got a title with the Spurs.
Yep, 1999, the first Spurs championship. I think you attended one of those games.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I was telling you, my seat said obstructed views behind the curtain. So while you were on the floor leading the Spurs to that first of 5 championships, I was literally behind the curtain, but I was in the building.
You had the $5 seat.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. BT, you want to weigh in on this?
Well, I do. I wish I had an obstructive view when he beat my Knicks back in '99. Why wasn't that obstructed? Why did I have to see that? By the way, I knew we were losing that. No way were we winning that series.
And as we discuss off the air, you go back 20 years and say, all right, fate of the Spurs, fate of the Knicks. Not to rub it in at all.
No, but it's true, and it's history, and it is what it is, and that's where it started. Everything has an origin, and Avery was right in the middle of it. The general, we know that.
And what we know about Avery's career, this was stop number 3 with the Spurs, and it was a journey to get to that NBA championship.
And that's why I'm a little bit biased to, you know, a lot of the guys that play here in the Big Three that were journeymen in their careers, and they're still playing at a high level.
You appreciate a guy who has a basketball journey, a basketball story.
Yes, it's easy to get drafted in the lottery and play for one team. Is easier, and you play for one team your whole career, but the rest of us have to move around. c.j.watson, Donte Jones, Steven Jackson, all out here performing at a high level in the Big Three.
Watson kept that one alive for Donte Jones. Emmett has 10 of the 14 for 3's company, but he needs some help because the killer 3's, after down 8-0 early, have cut this to a 2-point game. Max Seal gets that personal foul.
It's really amazing to have a front row seat and feel the physicality of the game. It's physical out there, and the refs a lot of times don't call touch fouls.
Now they're going to call that one. More than a touch foul. Andre was going to make sure the message was delivered to Mr. Jackson, and now he's going to talk about a call he did not get.
Yeah, that may be a flagrant foul in other leagues.
So Andre with some contact and some discussion. And Steven Jackson dap it out. Feel the love, right?
Still playing hard. Steven Jackson's always been a fierce competitor on both ends of the floor. And we consider him a two-way player.
That's right.
Yeah, he's always been a two-way player. Both playing offense and defense. And takes pride in it.
Watson killer 3's have their first lead. After trailing 8-0 early, killer 3's have come back strong to take the lead.
Cannot give CJ any space. He has a little bit of a wind-up three-point shot, but once he has space and time, he can make it.
Donte Jones with a good seal from Max Seal.
A lot of times, you get a traditional assist when you make a pass to a guy and he makes a shot, but that was an assist by Max Seal by sealing off the lane legally and allowing his teammate to drive and finish.
Watson shakes it down. Jackson to Green. Watson keeps it alive. Frustrating Michael Cooper, couldn't clear it on the defensive glass. Watson, lob, Donte Green, alley-oop, killer 3 style.
CJ set that up because he made a 3, and because now he's a threat from behind the 3-point line, you can get 1 or 1.5 guys to commit to him when he's driving down the lane, and that set up the lob. So here it is, CJ, they're worried about him shooting the 3, 1.5 guys commit, and now great lob pass.
A 12-4 run by Killer 3's. Watson to Donte Green. Get up Syracuse, Donte Green. And Killer 3's, after trailing by 8 early, have stormed back to take the 3-point lead on Michael Cooper's 3's company. But you said when you left c.j.watson alone for the 3, that was a defensive mistake. And you know if there's a guy who's not going to abide a defensive mistake, it's Michael Cooper.
No, Michael Cooper, you know, was a legend defensively. I used to love when Coop was guarding Larry Bird. And Coop said he talked trash basically to everybody that thought they could guard him. But he only talked a little trash to me. That's what Cooper told me at breakfast. Just a little bit of trash. I said, but not nearly. I don't think Larry Bird talked as much trash as Gary Payton.
I don't think Michael stopped by that John Stockton statue out front either. I don't think so. I don't think he was laying flowers or throwing wreaths or anything. Here's Maxiel in tight. Donte Green pokes it away. So Donte Green, offense and defense. Check the shot clock here. Will be reset of the shot clock. 3's company ball. Now we're going to go to 2 seconds on the shot clock. So quick hitter here. Thompson, quick back. Dante Jones has to heave. Fight for the rebound. Maxiel back up. Fouled, and Jason Maxiel to the line.
Smart play. When you have 2+ seconds on the shot clock, one of the best things you can do is, first of all, try to get the ball to the strong side corner, which Coach Cooper was trying to get their attention, or post it up in the paint. But if that's not open, try to get the ball inside and right back to the inbounder. And they got the ball back to Dante Jones, and fortunately they were able to get a shot off. So
almost after timeout situation there, but quick hitter. And now Maxiel, 1 free throw for 2 points. Looking pretty from Jason Maxiel.
But give the Killer 3's credit. You know, they've come back and taken the lead after a slow start.
Watson crossover on Thompson, create for Donte Green. On Maxiel, Green. Tough one, D'd up by Maxiel.
c.j.watson is having a positive impact on the game, making great decisions, and it's giving them a chance to rest Frank Nitti a little bit, who wasn't nearly as effective to start the game.
Andre Emmett returns for 3's.
Andre Emmett's coming back in for 3's company. He needed the break because carrying the load early. He had 10 of the first 14 for 3's company. Part of that 8-0 start. Little break for Andre, back at it. Watson crossover, step back on Thompson. Late foul called on Dijon Thompson. Watson created it all himself.
Yeah, CJ said, hey, Frank Nitti's been getting a lot of attention. I want to come out here and have an impact on this game, and right now he's the MVP for the Killer 3's.
Watson was bringing it. Did not play last week. First season, BIG3, University of Tennessee. From down 8 early, Killer 3's back up by 3 again. 3-way tie atop the BIG3, including the Killer 3's, all at 4-1. Watson on Emmett. Emmett D'd it up. Physical play on, and now Jackson on Emmett. Battling all night. Emmett with a pop on Steven Jackson. Not called. Follow-up bucket, 3's company. And a technical foul on Michael Cooper. Drew Gooden's going to have to step in as captain because getting very physical between Andre Emmett and Steven Jackson results in a tee on 3's Company's bench.
Yeah, Coach Cooper wanted a foul right here on Steven Jackson,
c.j.watson.
but it could have gone either way.
And there have been a couple of hard fouls between Andre Emmett and Steven Jackson. So technical here, and Michael Cooper still discussing the issue.
I just love the intensity. Nobody's backing down. The players are competing against one another. Coach Cooper and Coach Oakley are competing against one another. This is a man's league.
Max Seal, steal. There's a man ready to play in a man's league. Jason Max Seal creates for himself on the defensive end. Steven Jackson wants to do some more talking with his game as well. Watson on Max Seal, crossover, create, Donte Green, triple, killer, 3's, bowling. It was old 3's Company early, but c.j.watson leading the way. Donte Green inside on the alley-oop, outside for 3, halftime. Killer 3's 26, 3's Company 22. What a response from Killer 3.
Yeah, c.j.watson is putting on a clinic. If he was a quarterback in the NFL, he'll be a running quarterback, a passing quarterback, multi-purpose type of a guy. He's scoring behind the three-point line. He's had a couple of really nice assists.
c.j.watson leading the way for Killer 3's at the end of the first half. You're watching the Big 3 on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. In Salt Lake City, Utah, Killer 3's on 3's Company 26-22 at the half in Big 3 action. But being that we're in the home of the Utah Jazz, we had to look at Avery Johnson. It's ironic with the Supersonics against the Jazz, and then with Reggie Theus watching on in the Western Conference semifinals, and then 21 Western Conference semifinal game 2 for the Spurs. So, I mean, 1990s Western Conference Spurs versus Jazz especially. It was intense when those two got together.
Yes, it's amazing to play against the Jazz, especially the Karl Malone, John Stockton pick and roll. Two of the best to ever have done it. The games were physical. A couple of illegal screens.
No.
Yes. And I think if John Stockton walked in the arena tonight, it may be Pacquiao and Mayweather too. And he'll be Pacquiao and I'm Mayweather, because I'm still upset by some of those elbows I caught from John Stockton.
Oh, surely not. All right. Well, thankfully, we've actually had some elbows in this one as well. And Andre Emmett has not been afraid to back down from anyone. 10 of the first 14 for 3's Company. Andre Emmett, and then c.j.watson really leading the comeback for Killer 3's.
Yes, and Emmett came into the game, you know, averaging 18 points. His team desperately needs his offense. But right now, if the game ended right now, c.j.watson would be the MVP of this game.
And yet, we're only halfway there. So 3's Company without a made 3 in the first half. We're playing to 50, so first to 25 sends us to halftime. And after an 8-0 start for 3's Company, Killer 3's on top. Charles Oakley with Brandon Tierney.
Yeah, Charles, not the way you wanted it to start. 8-zip, Oak called the timeout. What was Charles saying?
You know, early game, the guys, I told them to be aware of this team. We beat early in the year. They're going to come in and play hard. And call a timeout. We got back into it. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I think that guys really got relaxed. We got more bodies tonight, so we're going to really come out second half and just put it on them.
I know you have to like the matchup with Andre Emmett and you guys, Steven Jackson. Kind of old school, right?
Definitely old school. Steven's tough, Emmett's tough, but we got some bodies. So Frank needed back, CJ back in the lineup running pick and roll. He looked great today.
How did anybody box this guy out back in the day? How did anybody do that? Are you kidding me? Thanks, Oak. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
I'm not sure how anybody's boxing Oak out today. Charles looking good.
He's looking extremely well. One of the best fights I've ever witnessed in the NBA was in second year, Xavier McDaniel and Oakley fighting in Madison Square Garden. You don't want to get in between those two guys.
I would pay money for that rematch. Speaking of pay-per-views, you might want to get a handle on. Yeah, it has been killer for Killer Threes, and I would say that is a very well placed timeout there for Oak. Down 8-0, your team responds with a big 12-4 run, lead it at the half.
Yeah, and I think the point he was making was, hey, we have extra bodies tonight because of c.j. Watson's performance. Now he's able to start, the second half, and he can give Frank Nitty a break, but don't count Frank Nitty out.
Dijon Thompson hits the first three for 3's company. Long to Watson. That's 11 points, 2 assists, and an explosion for c.j. Watson.
They've gotten the best of that switch with Max Seal switching on Watson. So look for them to continue to run pick and rolls and force the Killer Threes to adjust their defense.
Ooh, Watson.
3's company to adjust their defense.
Poke that one away. Watson finds Donte Green again. 3 assists for c.j. Watson. They've all come for Donte Green. Killer. Max Seal. Hard pick on Donte Green. Thompson step in two. Emmett to Max Seal. That is an offensive foul taken by Donte Green.
c.j. Watson loves this matchup. As a coach, I would have preferred him to maybe take that one more step behind the three-point line. Long twos are not good, but he made it. And then just great anticipation, reacting by, with that assist.
And now Nitty's back out there. So that's a pretty good tool when you're Charles Oakley to rock a hot c.j. Watson and Frank Nitty capable of heating it up at any point.
Yes, and here's a guy in a summer league game in Los Angeles yesterday, scored 60 points.
I mean, yes, that is right. 6-0. And he will hang it on anybody.
And the beauty of it was the team that they were playing against only scored 58.
That is one act. And now a rested Nitty. Donte Green missed the 3. Emmett tap out Thompson.
It's going to be very important for the Killer Threes to don't forget about Steven Jackson offensively.
Emmett spins and a hammer. Come and dance on our floor, Donte Jones. Jackson on Emmett with a response. And now Emmett on Franklin's session. Jackson comes over to help, creating room for Donte Jones. Step back 2 now, Donte.
Smart defense by Steven Jackson, going down to help and support Frank Nitty, and he's able to recover the Donte Jones.
Green unable to finish from session. Emmett creating for Donte Jones.
That's what you call team basketball. Selflessness.
Emmett floater. Trying to lead now a 3's company comeback. Andre Emmett. He had 10 of the first 14. That is his first bucket since.
I love the way Andre Emmett continues to expand his game year after year after year. When he turned pro, he was basically just a defender. He wasn't even offensively, he really didn't have much of a game except for driving the basket or maybe just posting up. But I love the way he's expanded his game, and he's been very impressive.
He's put some more tools in the tool belt. Mid-range, he can post up, as we've seen, smaller guards with session.
Yeah, you have to do it. I did it when I was a pro. I was mainly a drive guy and an assist guy, but, I had to develop a jump shot.
famously in that 99 finals against the Knicks, Madison Square Garden.
3's company foul number 1, Dermarr Johnson.
Johnson commits the foul.
Because the games are so physical, at this point, now it's going to be about stamina and conditioning. And, you know, can we handle adversity, a bad call, a missed free throw? You know, are we going to be able to bounce back? Which team is going to be able to bounce back and just overcome adversity?
And you think killer threes, because of the contributions from Watson, a little pressure at this point?
I think that can be very beneficial for him.
Jackson inside gets a foul called on Donte Jones. And speaking of handling about what you perceive as a bad foul call, right now it's tough for 3's company.
Yeah, I just think the players, they gotta allow their coaches, you know, Coach Oakley and Coach Cooper, to deal with the officials and not allow a missed call, what's perceived as a bad call, to affect your performance.
Jackson 10 and 5, one free throw for 2, couldn't hit it. So 3's company led it early 8-0 when Emmett was hot. Trying to come back now. Emmett floater takes it right at Eddy.
So as much as 3's company, they want to attack certain matchups, just like Killer 3's want to attack the Watson, Max Seal pick and roll. But now, you know, Emmett attacking Eddy in the post, that's what you're going to continue to see.
Donte Green step in 3, 5-point lead. So back into Emmett on Eddy. Jackson digging down, creating for Slim. Dermarr Johnson can't make him pay. Eddy and Jackson, two-man game. Jackson on Emmett, poked away by Emmett. Leading the shot clock. Can Jackson get it off? In tight. Just did. Shot clock violation, didn't hit the rim.
And unlike Andre Emmett, when he threw the lob on a couple of possessions back, Steven Jackson probably should have passed the ball, even though he was deep in the shot clock. He beat his defender. Another defender came over to support. Just from a number standpoint, you're playing 2 against 1.
Watson in for Frank Eddy. Josh Powell in for Steven Jackson. We have not seen Eddy Curry for killer threes. Donte Jones draws a foul.
Just stay up with them. They want to call everything.
So Eddy Curry, who got them off to the hot start last week. Limited minutes, didn't play 3 straight games for Charles Oakley. Eddy said coach's decision, haven't seen him yet tonight.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen him, especially with 10 points in last week's game.
Hell no.
Donte Jones pulls 3's company back within 3. Watson attacks, creates, on the bounce. Donte Green, 3. And we have a foul underneath. Jones and Josh Powell get tangled up. And as we untangle that between Donte Jones and Josh Powell, it's Donte Green. Killer.
I think it's gonna be. I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you. I got hit twice. I got hit twice on the left in the head. That's all I'm saying. You stand right there on the baseline.
I'm talking to you. You know me for 3 years now. I'm just
Everybody in this say I got hit in the head. Everybody in here.
I missed it. That's my bad. But I'm just telling you what I looked at.
Just know I'm not complaining for nothing.
No. I got you.
All right, Avery, as a player and a coach and a guy who knows Steven Jackson, how do you break down that interaction for that one call?
Steven said, I'm not complaining. What are you doing, Steve? Are you just having a conversation where you're dominating the conversation and you're only making the points about your team?
Woo.
You should know when you come to Utah, you're not going to get any calls.
Oh, so this is long standing.
Salt Lake
This goes back to Spurs Jazz 90s discussion. Okay, you're not going to get the call. No matter what the league is, no matter whether you're playing the Jazz or playing 3's company.
If you and I play one-on-one tomorrow before we fly out, you're going to get fouled.
I would like to get 1 point in that one-on-one game. I'll tell you that right now.
And what was your number in high school?
54 for Jack Haley. Your teammate. 54. Yep, the late Jack Haley.
We got a 54 out here, Jason Maxill.
That's right. That's exactly right. The first thing I noticed was Maxill with 54. There's not a lot of us.
Yeah, just a little bit better than you, Carl.
Jason and Jack took their 54 a whole lot longer than yeah, there it is. Yeah, they if you find a Tybee High School, Kerrville, Texas 54 jersey, it's old, I'll tell you that.
I think they treated you like how I got treated in high school. My name was Little 30 because I only got in the games when we were up by 30.
Yeah, little 30. All right, now we did have to clarify, that is a 4-point shot. Andre Emmett, write it down. Oh, Mr. Furley loves it. 3's company, plus one more.
And that's exactly what we were talking to Ice Cube about before the game. You're never out of a Big 3 game. You're never until somebody scores 50 points.
Right. Got to win by 2. Now, earlier, the Donte Green going into break, they called it 2, went back at 3. This, no question, all you have to do is have 1 foot anywhere in the circle. Big 3, Big 4, Andre Emmett. Watson on Emmett now. Head shake. Watson, Emmett gets a block. Straight back up. Andre Emmett, 6 straight, trying to close it out for 3's company.
You know, whenever you're coaching a team, you got to have some non-negotiables as a coach, and one of those free throw rebounds, they got bailed out that time, but boy, that free throw rebound could have definitely hurt them.
2 more, Dijon Thompson. It is a 12-2 run for 3's company. They started strong, 8-0 to get it going behind Andre Emmett. And now they're trying to close it strong, going for a 3rd straight win after an 0-3 start. 3's company, it has been all day, all night, Andre Emmett.
And it's just hustle points. It's getting after it on every loose ball, defensively, offensively. Driving the ball to the basket, making great decisions. And then once you start driving, defenses are going to back off of you. Now he makes the shot. He's always been an incredible driver to the basket. Big 3-point shot. And it's just a big 4-point shot, excuse me. Just awareness and confidence.
Well, Andre Emmett messed around and got a double-double so far with 18 and 13. It's a 12-2 run. 6 of those from Andre Emmett, including the 4-point shot. Now can the Killer 3's make a final push to get to 5-1. Donte Green triple. Long rebound, Donte Jones. Steven Jackson trying to lock down Andre Emmett.
The key is going to be what he's going to go down and support c.j.watson.
Ooh, gets a foul on Watson.
So Steven Jackson decided not to go down and provide help. Some teams would call that a red in their defensive system when you're going to go down and double team the post. But he decided to allow c.j.watson to play Donte Jones in single coverage, and that's a win for 3's company.
1 shot, 2 points, 47 on the board, a 3 away from a win after an 0-3 start. They didn't have a 3 in the first half. Watson pulls the string on the triple. Maxill into the hands of Emmett. Emmett, a 3-pointer with women. Andre Emmett.
c.j.watson has gone cold.
Emmett for 2, 49 on the board for Andre Emmett. Steven Jackson thought about the 4, head fake, takes, Maxill gets the block at the rim. Foul is called. Maxill didn't like it. 3's company ready to explode. Drew Gooden kept them all back.
And that was a foul. Had Maxill gone straight up, I may have to change my opinion about that.
That's what the replay's for.
Look at the replay first, Coach.
And now Steven Jackson and Donte Jones are continuing to go at it. The officials are going to have to step in again.
That was a clean block.
Now can Killer 3's take advantage of what looks to be a late break? Into the hands of Emmett, a bucket away from a win. Here's Andre Emmett. Steven Jackson pushes him out of bounds.
It's a bad foul.
And this contentious one late. I mean, you can tell what's on the line here. Top 4 go to the playoffs. Killer 3's trying to maintain among the top teams. 3's Company trying to make it 3-3 and 3 straight wins. Into the hands of Emmett. A chance to win it for Andre Emmett.
You have to guard him all over the floor.
Emmett, Maxfield, foul by Steven Jackson. Maxfield will go to the line with a chance to end it again. Hard foul. Steven Jackson helps him to his feet.
And Andre Emmett, he's been a maestro. He scored from all 3 different levels, 4-point shots, inside, mid-range. He's exceptional passes, reading the defense.
And what an effort for 3's Company. I mean, you're a point away from winning. We'll let you know what they're reviewing here when we hear it. But I mean, for a 3's Company team, you're 0-3 on the year. You've won 2 straight. Now you got to go up against a team who's tied for first. Hot start, cold spell, and now late, closing in on a huge win.
And they definitely were the underdogs coming into the game tonight. Andre Emmett has been exceptional. Got off to a really nice start, and he's continued to just be consistent throughout the game.
I'm sure checking to see if there's anything flagrant there, especially after a technical foul on both sides. It has been tight and verbal and physical throughout. A 16-2 run by 3's Company, 12 straight, including those 6 from Andre Emmett, to put them in a position to win their 3rd straight. But the review as to whether we get anything beyond a common foul now here on Steven Jackson on that hard one on Jason Maxfield. What do you think, Avery?
I think that's a flavor. Yeah. The elbow to the back. It was excessive by rule, but it's just how the referees interpret it. And I just think all of the conversation that the Killer 3's have had with the referees the entire game has been intense. And guys, you know, Steven Jackson and c.j.watson, these guys have a lot of pride. They want to win. Powell, you know, Coach Oakley.
And flagrant one, that's the call. And
right
so,
call.
yeah, right call.
They got it right. And that's what I love about replay is, you know, it adds to transparency and it helps the fans.
So that means Jason Maxfield to the line to try and close it out. 1 shot for 2 points for 3's Company. Maxfield, game over. 3's Company rallies down the stretch. They close the game on a 14-0 run, and it all started with the 4-point shot from Andre Emmett, a bitter taste in the mouth for the Killer 3's and Steven Jackson, because 3's Company has now won 3 straight. It ends with a flagrant foul on Steven Jackson, the free throw from Maxfield, and 3's Company 51-41 winner. Now for the B1 shot of the game, and you have to go back to Andre Emmett's 4-pointer to get it all started.
Yes, and you only need 1 foot inside the 4-point mark, and Andre Emmett just expanding his game.
And that started the 14-0 run, so Andre Emmett is with Brandon Tierney.
Yeah, this was the Andre Emmett show. When you said to me, I'm not surprised, we're not surprised, we've come to expect this from you. First, from the team perspective, 3 straight wins, you're back in the mix. What's the difference?
First off, glory to God. Donte, taking practice serious, locking in, playing together, and you know, staying with it. It was a long game. It's a long game. They kind of controlled it for the most part, but we stayed with it, stayed resilient, and there it is.
There's no time limit. You got to get to 50, and it could take a while. All right, let's get to you. We saw it all. That last little barrage, the 4-pointer, then you block a shot, you get a layup, then you put it on spin cycle. We saw the whole repertoire. What did you like? I'm gonna say the defense you like the most.
Nah.
No, the 4?
Nah, I like all of it. I was in my bag, and you know, once the score get it going like that, it's lights out.
It's a big-time performance. Andre Emmett stepping up. Nice job, man. Thank you very much. Nice win. Good stuff right here. How about that? A little showboating, but he's talking about practice. They got in the gym, they got back in the lab, and they got going.
Practice, and it started with an 8-0 run. Andre Emmett got it rolling early, and then late the 14-0 run to end it. And the 3's company, 3 straight wins.